The first time I saw her, I thought she was a hallucination. Her skin shimmered like liquid silver, reflecting the dim light of the cargo bay. Her eyes were large, luminous orbs that seemed to hold entire galaxies within them. She had no nose, just two small slits, and her mouth was a delicate, almost imperceptible line. Her body was humanoid but impossibly slender, with long, graceful limbs that moved with an otherworldly fluidity. She stood there, staring at me, her head tilted to the side like a curious bird. I froze, the wrench in my hand slipping from my grip and clattering to the floor. The sound echoed through the empty bay, and she flinched, her entire body rippling like water disturbed by a stone. Hi," said my voice cracking. She didn't respond, at least not in any way I could understand. Instead, she took a step closer, her movements so smooth it was like she was gliding. I took a step back, my heart pounding. "Look, I don't know who you are or how you got here, but this is a restricted area. You shouldn't be here," I said, trying to sound authoritative. She tilted her head the other way, her eyes narrowing slightly. Then, to my utter shock, she spoke. "Inside," she said, her voice a melodic whisper that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. "Inside," I repeated, my brain struggling to process what was happening. "Yes, inside you," she said, taking another step closer. And blinked. "Wait, what? Inside me? What does that even mean?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached out with one slender hand, her fingers elongating like tendrils of liquid metal. I stumbled back, but she was faster. Her hand touched my chest, and I felt a strange warmth spread through me. And then everything went black. When I woke up, I was lying on the floor of the cargo bay. The alien girl crouched beside me. Her eyes were wide with what I could only describe as fascination. "You are complex," she said, her voice filled with wonder. "Thanks, I guess," I said, sitting up slowly. My head was spinning and I felt like I'd just run a marathon. "What the hell did you do to me?" "I was inside you," she said, as if that explained everything. "Yeah, you keep saying that, but I don't know what it means." I snapped, frustration getting the better of me. She blinked, her expression unreadable. "I entered your mind. I wanted to understand you." "You entered my mind," I repeated, my stomach churning. "Like you read my thoughts." "Yes," she said simply. I stared at her, my mind racing. That's a huge invasion of privacy, you know that?" She tilted her head again, her expression one of confusion. "Privacy? I do not understand. My species shares everything. We are one." "Well, humans aren't like that," I said, climbing to my feet. "We value our privacy. Our thoughts are our own." She stood as well, her movements graceful and effortless. "I did not know. I apologize." Her apology seemed genuine, and I felt some of my anger ebb away. "It's okay, I guess. Just don't do it again, all right?" She nodded, her silver skin rippling with emotion. "I will not. But you are fascinating. Your mind is chaotic, yet beautiful." I wasn't sure how to respond to that, so I just shrugged. "Thanks. I think." We stood there in silence for a moment, the only sound the faint hum of the ship's engines. Then she spoke again. "Tell me more about humans," she said, her eyes shining with curiosity. I sighed, running a hand through my hair. "Where do I even start?" "Start anywhere," she said, her voice soft. So I did. I told her about Earth, about our history, our cultures, our dreams and fears. I told her about love and loss, about joy and pain. I told her about the things that made us human, both the good and the bad. She listened intently, her eyes never leaving mine. When I finished, she was silent for a long time. "You are remarkable," she said finally. I laughed, a little self-consciously. "I don't know about that. We're just us." "No," she said, shaking her head. "You are more. You are unique. I have never encountered a species like yours." "Well, thanks," I said, feeling a strange warmth in my chest. "You're not so bad yourself." She smiled, or at least I think she did. It was hard to tell with her mouth being so small. "I must go now," she said, her voice tinged with regret. "Go? Where?" I asked, suddenly feeling a pang of loss. "Back to my ship. My people are waiting," she said. "Oh," I said, not knowing what else to say. She reached out, her hand brushing against mine. I felt that same warmth again, but this time it was comforting, not invasive. "Thank you," she said, "for sharing your mind. For sharing your humanity." "You're welcome," I said, my throat tight. She turned and began to walk away, her body shimmering as she moved. Just before she reached the door, she paused and looked back at me. "Perhaps one day I will return," she said. "I'd like that," I said, smiling. And then she was gone, leaving me standing alone in the cargo bay, wondering if any of it had been real. Epilogue. Years passed, and I never saw her again. I often wondered if she had been real or just a figment of my imagination, a product of too many long shifts and not enough sleep. But then, one day I received a message. It was encrypted, untraceable, and addressed only to me. When I opened it, there was just one line of text. "I am inside you." And I knew. She was back.